Hi everyone, I'm Neil Gould from Exopolitics Hong Kong, and today we have with us Mary Rodwell from Australia. Mary is here to do a lecture at the Hong Kong University. Mary, could you tell us a little about yourself, please?
With pleasure. First of all, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, Hong Kong Institute of Ufology, for inviting me. A little bit about myself. Well, I'm a former nurse midwife. I am now a professional counsellor and hypnotherapist, and I work in the paranormal area, working with people who have extraordinary experiences. And when I mean that, I mean people who have experiences with non-human extraterrestrial intelligences. And this is part of what I'm here to talk about and I specialize in, including what I call the new human, which is the star children that also have experiences on the craft. So I'm coming to share my research and talk about the over 1,500 cases that have come to my notice in the last 14 years.
Could you tell me a little bit about ACERN?
Yes, Australian Close Encounter Resource Network is an organisation that I've created to provide professional resources to those with these experiences, because for many of them they really don't know where to go. They're afraid if they go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist that they will be medicated or seen as crazy. And so to come to someone who is going to listen to them non-judgmentally, that understands a little bit about this phenomena, that will help them to understand exactly what it means to them, has been really important. And so that's why I created ACERN, which is now the only professional organisation in Australia that deals specifically with this experience.
Okay. After watching you last night doing your lecture at university, which was absolutely fantastic, I can't help wondering what it was that brought you into this field.
Well, it's like everything as a counsellor, you never know what the next client's going to bring in with them. But this gentleman had been referred to me because he'd heard I was open-minded. And he said, look Mary, he said, there are support groups for everything you can think of, every other kind of human experience. But for this experience, he said, unfortunately there's no support groups. People just think you're a loony. He said, and I have not known where to go. And it was from there I learned that both him and his family were experiencing what I call this contact with non-human beings, and how profoundly it affected them meant that they were waking up with marks on their body. They were waking up not knowing what happened at night. He woke up with shaved areas on his leg. So here was something that was not only experienced by him but the rest of his family, and that in itself showed that this was real, because no hallucination affects the rest of the family. And luckily I'd had a little bit of understanding about this whole experience from reading eclectically, that I'd heard that there were cases around the world where people had had these kinds of experiences called, abductions. And it was from there that I started to open up to the whole understanding of this phenomena, and people started to find me. And from that, the first support group, where we had 12 individuals. And so it's become my specialist area, and now I'm passionate about it, because I believe now there are millions of people around the world that do not realize what's happening to them, that live in fear and isolation because they can't even tell those that are close to them that this is their reality. And so it became very important when I heard that people were medicated, sent to psychiatric wards, and all they did was tell the doctor that they were seeing aliens or they'd seen spaceships. This is not a mental illness, this is a real experience, and the more that we can put out there to the general community to start taking this seriously has now become my passion, because as a counsellor and as a therapist, I'm seeing the trauma this causes by not having anywhere to go. No one who will honour and respect the experience, and that is why I created ACERN.
After last night's lecture, what I found amazing is how the Chinese people opened up to you. We went to the restaurant
Yes.
after the lecture, and to my amazement, people that I've been working with over the last year, in parts of the UFO club, the young lady, she completely came out of nowhere and she opened right up to you with finger sort of marks on her hands that would be appearing and disappearing.
Yes.
I mean, I was totally amazed at the way they all opened up and started telling you from their hearts all these strange things. How did you feel about that?
Well, it's what I find, because they hear from me that I'm open to honouring their experiences. It's an immediate sense of safety and trust. And I find people telling me this, they come and do my garden, and the next thing I know they're telling them about a UFO sighting they've seen. I've had people coming to do the plumbing, and the next thing I hear is that they'll tell me because they'll see a UFO in my office. I've had real estate agents open up to me that have come to appraise the house. It's because they know that I'm open to hearing it, and that's why I believe believe people trust me enough to start telling me their story.
And were you surprised about how some of them told you that themselves and their kids had been seeing lights and craft in the sky over Hong Kong, which I've been saying all this while, and people have been laughing at me?
Yes, and this is the interesting thing, isn't it? As soon as they hear it's okay to speak about it, it's amazing how people will start to tell you what's going on in their lives, and I'm no longer surprised, because it happens wherever I go, and I just think it's an amazing honour to be trusted with such special things in people's lives, and that to me is the very special part of this work, is the trust that people give me, and I hope that I can always honour that and always behave with integrity with it as well.
Sadly, in Hong Kong we don't have anybody like yourself, so I can see that we're going to be having to get you over here a few times and to sort of set up some sort of workshop to help these people, because many of them are very, very frustrated, and you're absolutely correct. Many are being abused by being medicated, and when I've met some of these so-called people who are professionals in ADHD, and I've spoken to them, and to be quite honest with you, I feel they're dangerous. Yes. I don't think they understand exactly what is going on. I don't think they understand how to handle these kids that are having these experiences, and this is very, very important, especially for you and your work and coming over here for the future, definitely.
Yes, and I believe that the therapeutic community, until they start honouring this as a valid human experience, we will just not have the understanding that people need, and they will not go to these professionals until they know that their experience is going to be honoured. So we have to break open this limited psychological paradigm and start again with trying to understand the amazing abilities human beings have to embrace a multidimensional reality and experience.
And I'll just turn your attention over to those buildings over there. You can see that very tall one is called the IFC 2 building with the claws at the top, and just to the right of it is a smaller one. Just to the right of it, it's the IFC 1 building. In the year 2000 we were across here and we were watching some people unloading a ship, a chartered ship with oranges, and about double the size of that building up were 4 craft that came in from Lama Island and circled that second building round and round. For 3 hours we watched this, and we had 20 Chinese and we had some very prominent members of our community, and we were absolutely spellbound watching this. And the 20 Chinese people who were watching, half of them couldn't even see him, half of them could. Now we're not sure whether they couldn't see them because they were embarrassed, or whether there was some sort of metaphysical reason why they couldn't see them. Maybe they weren't supposed to see them. But have you heard about this kind of phenomena before?
Absolutely, and it's interesting, as you say, that some people can see them, some people can't see them. And I think it's because sometimes if it is so completely out of our reality, we block it out. I've always said that there's 10% of the population that if a UFO landed on their front lawn, they would say it was a fire engine, because they can't actually take on board the fact they're seeing something out of this world.
That's amazing. And we also have another building across here called the Kodak building. I'm trying to find it. It's the one I told you that a person that I met had said to me that a huge cigar-shaped object, Chinese guy, came past his window. Well, I listened and of course took it on board. I was non-judgmental. But later on, when I looked in the MUFON or the one of the other sites where they collect these sightings, I saw somebody completely independent who submitted a picture of the same Kodak building with this huge cigar-shaped object going right past his window, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, the cigar-shaped object was graphics. I mean, he obviously, inserted, but he admitted he did. But it just goes to show that you can't dismiss what people tell you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen so many pictures of craft now that have blown my mind. Real, tangible, physical, solid objects. There is no doubt in my mind that they are real.